How are you doing, Apurva?
Very well, even better when seeing somebody like you
Yeah.
right across the table.
Yeah. It's always very inspiring whenever I meet you, and after meeting you, the sense of the conversation stays with me. So I'm always very inspired, and I feel lucky
Thank you.
sitting with you. Apurva, if I ask you, I know it's going to be difficult, but if I ask you to just look back and talk to me about 3 standout moments in your life, what would it be?
Yeah. That is really peering in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say, when I got into IIM Bangalore, I think that was quite defining, because for us growing up in the 80s and 90s, those institutes were our gateway to a career or success as we defined it at that time.
Yeah.
And I also happened to meet my husband there. So I would say that is one certain milestone. The other was when at a fairly young age, I moved industries and became a CEO and business head of ZTV. So I was fairly young and leadership came early to me. And in hindsight, finally, it's about the 10,000 hours you invest in anything. So the 10,000 hours I invested in being a leader, because leadership came to me early, paid dividends.
How old were you?
I was 35.
Wow.
Yeah. And the third bit, of course, is at what one sees as the sunset years. I've started an entrepreneurship as well.
Yeah. Amazing journey. And I mean, it was an unfair question because there is so much.
Yes.
I mean, you're an author. You're, one of the most powerful entrepreneurs, gender agnostic in the country. You have a family, a child, a husband, loving husband. So it would be difficult to really encapsulate that in 3 moments. Yes. But when I look at your life, your journey, Apurva, and I remember you telling me this, that it is possible to have it all. Despite a lot of women who've faced, obstacles, do you still believe that it's possible for a woman to have it all, a career, family, and, be a leader? Is it possible?
So I've minorly modified that statement from the time we met. So I do
prepare for your heart to be
no,
broken.
not at all. No. Not at all, Megha. So I definitely do believe people, women especially, can have it all, but not at the same time. So when I look back, I do believe that there were certain moments that I was concentrating inordinately on my career, and therefore family took a back seat. And then there are some moments that you were obviously needing to spend time with children and parents and all that. And therefore you feel, okay, career is chugging along well, that's okay. And then now there is time where, I always felt that I never had time for self-care. I never had time to take care of myself and concentrate on my interests, because you were so outward focused. Today, I find that time. So, I'm saying that we can have it all, but over a period of time in a good way, that have patience. Because don't worry that between 30 and 40, you're just having to do so many things and you're not taking care of yourself. There will come a time when you're 50 when children have grown, husbands have got trained, that you will have time to do what you want.
Yeah, you're right. Because I think for women also there is this concept of that Nari tu Narayani, you're the goddess, you can have multiple hands and juggle multiple things. That is taxing for a woman, isn't it?
Absolutely. And this whole concept of multitasking, which I think is putting inordinate pressure on women. I think it's unfair. And sometimes we sort of take it on ourselves and feel very proud of the fact. I used to feel very good that, my God, everybody is talking of me as a multitasker. And then I realized that my family was actually taking advantage of saying, oh, how efficient she is, because everything was dumped on me. But I think multitasking is overrated. I would say definitely pick up 2-3 things. Don't be very single-mindedly focused on just one thing, but spread yourself out. You will get time to do whatever you want.
So Apurva, that brings me to another question. And, especially I think in Indian societies, there are roles divided for women. I mean, there is pressure to be a good daughter, and then there is, a dutiful bahu. Then you have to be a good wife. And then there is a lot of women today who want to start out on their, startup journey. They're also feeling the guilt the mom guilt. Did you have to go through any of these, milestones in your journey? And do you have a mantra on how to basically circumvent all of this?
So I think all our journeys in a way are very similar. You know, all women go through the same, and I'm just not talking about Indian women. It's true across the world.
Yeah.
Women have the pressure of being the primary nurturer. They have the pressure of also being, increasingly financially independent and therefore having a career. They also have these multiple roles that they are forced to play, and as a result, they layer themselves up with guilt, taking care of parents, as you rightly said, being extra dutiful, etc. So this exists. I also went through exactly the same things. I feel guilty about having left my son when he was young and ill at home. I feel guilty that sometimes even if I go out for an evening out with friends, oh my God, who will take care of the house?
Yeah.
So you do go through all those sentiments, emotions, baggage. How do you deal with them? And increasingly, again, I think the wisdom of age, increasingly, I've come to the conclusion that if you are not happy internally, you will not be able to be content and calm, and therefore people around you will be disturbed.
Yeah.
So first, it is true, it is necessary that you look inward, you only look at yourself.
Yeah.
And ask, not in a selfish manner, but ask yourself that what makes you feel good from moment 1 to moment 2. If it makes you feel good to go out with friends, do so without guilt. If it makes you feel good to stay at home and say, no, I will not socialize, do so. But first center yourself and get your internal happiness clear.
Yeah.
And that I think people struggle with.
Yeah.
There's
Even
so
to
much
identify that what is it that is truly going to make me happy.
Absolutely. It's not that the part 2 is about figuring that out and doing those things. The difficult thing is, as you very rightly said, part 1.
Yeah.
There's so much noise, no? There's so much expectation, no? So you're constantly saying, "Acha, ye bhi karna hai, aur social media mein ye dikh raha hai, my mother's telling me to do this, my husband's telling." So those noises just drown out what you want.
Yeah. There is also this thing called FOMO. You know this?
Yeah.
This is the millennial and Gen Z lingo.
Yeah.
That you are constantly in the fear of missing out, that something amazing is happening where you're not.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
there is tremendous pressure.
Yeah.
And so tell me, I know that when I talk about this, people say again, when you're talking about women leadership, you bring in and you give credit to men. But I do want to talk about the role of a partner. One, how does he handle? How do they handle now that, again, we have to talk about partners without specific genders in mind, but how does a partner handle the other partner's success? That is one thing. And how does the partner become an enabler in that journey? Is that important? Do you think that really matters in the journey, especially for a woman?
Indeed. In fact, I was just reading a research, I think it came out in HBR, which basically said that women who've either got married to the right partner or if not, who have chosen not to get married are the happier cohorts. Women who made wrong decisions for whatever reasons and got the wrong partner are the unhappiest despite the fact that they may be professionally successful.
Yeah.
So I think if there was a choice between finding somebody right or not finding, I would say these are the only two choices.
Yeah.
The third choice of getting married to and then going through your own stresses is actually the worst thing that can happen.
Yeah.
And therefore the importance of the right partner as an enabler.
Yeah.
Now, how do they handle it? I think the moment both partners think of themselves as equals, and I keep on bringing back the whole conversation to the corporate world. I mean, nobody says that HR is superior to marketing, is superior to content, right?
Yeah.
All three have to collaborate to deliver a good business.
Yeah.
So why can't we think of the same, that husband, wife, partner, child, parent, child have to collaborate together to ensure success of the whole unit? Why don't we think of it like that? And that can only come when we genuinely believe that everybody is equal. And it's not necessarily only spouses.
Yeah.
I would say increasingly, I work with my son now, he's my co-founder.
Okay.
So do I treat him as an equal, or do I think, when I go to work, do I think of him as a child and I know best?
Yeah.
No, he has his own strengths here. That's why we are both running a business together, and we have to think of each other as equal. Only then will the business succeed.
Yeah.
So I think this concept of equality is so important, and everything flows from there.
So we've touched upon the new business venture. I want to know more about Azol. Love the name,
Thank you.
as always. You have a knack for names. I love the names of your books and love the name of your business. Talk to me about what Azol is, what does it stand for, and why did you decide? I mean, like you described that it was a sort of a leap of faith, but why did you decide to get into this aspect of entrepreneurship now?
I think when you reach, I'm 55, 56 now, when you reach this age, you start saying that when will it be enough? When will you turn around and say, "Ki, I've got these awards, I've got this money, I've got these resources, I've got this experience, I've got this, so many things working for me. When is it time to give back?" And increasingly, especially post-pandemic, one starts realizing that who will work to reduce the inequality we see around us? You can't expect it to be a government job alone. You can't expect it to be a philanthropic millionaire's job alone. It has to be the job of you and me. It has to be the job of everybody who believes in justice and everybody who believes in equality. And if you believe in that, then you have to say, okay, I got a lot, now is my time to give back. So the principle or the idea or the thought of starting entrepreneurship really stemmed from, you would say, social justice or desire to give back or to do good, and say, I have to pay back what I received, I have to give back to the universe. Moving on to Azol, so it was many things in my life happened fairly serendipitously, right? So this too was in a way serendipitous. I mean, I've been running media organizations, suddenly food. But I wanted to work with women. My son wanted to do something around environment, because again, environment is something that we need to pay back to, right? So both of us then identified the sourcing of local foods, sourcing of ancient grains, sourcing of products made by some wonderful tribal women, self-help groups, micro entrepreneurs, farmer communities across different states, starting with Maharashtra, and saying that they are making lovely food items. They're growing some fantastic ancient grains, but they don't have supply chains or opportunities to create market linkages, whereas that's our strength. So why not think of them as partners and say that we together, you are the producer, I am the market linkage and supply chain creator, let's create a brand together and then ensure that there is equality at that rural bottom of the pyramid level. So that is how that was one leg. The other leg, of course, was the consumer. Again, post-pandemic, we've all started worrying about our health, what we are eating. And nutritionists will tell you, Ayurveda will tell you, go back to eating local food. Again, no access to local food from consumers. So I thought this equation worked very well, that we could provide local food, consumers needed it. And traditionally sourced items, that is really the thought behind Azol.
And Azol basically means Nani ka ghar.
Nani ka ghar.
That's really nice. And you've been able to, I think, bring to the market a really packaged way of really living that nostalgia of Nani ka ghar.
Yes.
Apurva, tell me, now with, like the Shark Tanks of the world coming in, is it a good time for, even small scale startups, mom and dad shops? There are women in villages doing achars and pappers. Is it a good time, or is the market going to be competitive?
So for entrepreneurships, it is a good time. In fact, there is no other better time than now, because, we all believe, we genuinely believe that the next 20 years, the next 30 years are years where India will really blossom and prosper and grow. And one of the reasons, it's a chicken and egg situation, one of the reasons India will do well is because of MSMEs. MSMEs who will create employment, MSMEs who will build to scale. So I think clearly India needs more MSMEs, and entrepreneurs also have to recognize that so many opportunities today, so many opportunities to build businesses, create employment, and also do good.
Yeah.
And that's where, Megha, since you brought up this entrepreneurship point, I definitely want to make one point, and you talked about Shark Tank, etc. That the only negative that I see in this entire, noise and buzz around entrepreneurs is the fact that whether it's media or people talking about it, they seem to be driving entrepreneurships in only one direction, which is, okay, you build something, you start something, then you quickly try to scale it up, then you get some money from venture capitalists and private equity, and then you become a unicorn. Become a unicorn. So if you ask anybody, what's your goal? I want to become a unicorn. Now, nothing right or wrong. Nothing right or wrong. Sure, there are many great businesses who have become unicorns, right? But is that the only path? And should that be your only goal? So I very strongly believe that at least for us, is not that the path. For us, it is about growing a business sustainably and profitably. So for me, becoming a profitable venture is far more important than becoming getting great valuation and becoming a unicorn.
And these are two different things.
These are two different things. These are two, because people, see, scale necessarily doesn't lead to profitability. Again, there are several unicorns who are also profitable. But I think there are more who are not. And then what are you creating? Equally, what is the messaging to the young entrepreneurs? I think the more important point I'm making is, what is the messaging to the... There are different ways to grow businesses. One way to grow business is to think about consumer purpose, consumer need. The other way to think about business is to say, okay, I will build a sustainable business which will outlive me and grow to become, become a good, well-run company and organization. And then there is a third way to say, I will become, I'll chase valuations and unicorn. That is not the only way.
Very interesting, Apurva. But tell me, since we're talking about, new businesses and new startups, and, even during the pandemic, I think there were a lot of businesses, and especially, run by women, that sprung across India, to counter the loss of jobs that were happening. But do you think that there are certain businesses that are like women in the genre for women, and there are certain businesses that are just out of the scope of a woman leader or a woman, entrepreneur? Is that fair assessment?
Megha, unequivocally no. You should not be asking me this question.
I should be I'm asking the question to get a response, because there are a lot of, when you go for investments, or when you sit for meetings, there is a lot of assumption that, if you're a woman startup owner, you'll probably be in beauty, maybe wellness, lifestyle. Do you think it's fair to say that if you're a woman entrepreneur, that is the zone that you should stay in?
Absolutely not. But you're right in the sense that the stereotypes exist. Stereotypes for women entrepreneurs exist at two levels. One is, of course, if it's a fintech company, how will a woman helmet and what will she understand? And this happens in corporate world also. It happens, if you're in the corporate world, you can either be in HR, maybe marketing, admin, but not finance, not tech. So these stereotypes definitely exist. And, unfortunately, we also don't see too many women at the helm or visibly at the helm of tech companies and fintech companies and health tech companies, etc., etc. Though of course that's changing. Changing. So clearly, the ambit for a woman, the orbit for a woman is anything that she chooses to do, anything that she wants to do, and she will succeed. The more difficult stereotype that exists, and it's subconscious, and women also don't recognize this, and that's what I keep on wanting to tell women entrepreneurs, is the confidence with which they come and approach, whether it's for investment, whether it's just talking about their business. So a lot of male entrepreneurs will be far more confident. The way they talk about it, that it's the next best thing and it's going to change the world, and it may be just one small app. Whereas the women, however competent they are, however well they have created their business, are not even talking about their businesses confidently. They're tentative, they're pointing out the flaws, they bring men along to discuss valuations and negotiations. And I think that needs to change.
But tell me, Apurva, that for a woman entrepreneur, I mean, you've got 30 years of experience, and you like you said that you were the CEO at 35. Are there more critics than there are cheerleaders if it's a woman leader? And is it different for a man, you would say?
So I wouldn't say critics or cheerleaders, because I don't think people largely are nice human beings. I don't think they do it like that in a very direct manner. And increasingly they don't do it at all. But I definitely believe that under the outside veneer, there certainly exists that subconscious bias against women leaders. So they're always, I just saw a cartoon recently which says, what is the difference between aggressive and assertive? The answer was your gender. So a more, a stronger woman leader will always be seen as shrieky and hysterical and too aggressive, hormonal. Whereas a male leader will be seen as strong. So those biases very much exist. The second thing is that there are just not enough senior women leaders. You go to a boardroom, there's one woman or two women. You go into a ECM of any large company, there'll be just about a woman there. Okay. Now, if the default gender of leadership is male, if all of us look around, whether it is in politics, whether it is in business, whether it is in academia, they're only men. So when you see that, you naturally start thinking and feeling and stereotyping that women will reach a certain level but not grow beyond that. This is not, women are not meant to be leaders. And I think that is something that we have to cut at the root. It can be cut by all of us. It can be cut by women specifically by being more visible.
So, Apurva, as a leader, I mean, this is obviously you've led businesses and you've sat on boards and you've dealt with big money and investment and P&Ls. And what is your relationship with money now? I mean, how much change do you carry in your wallet? How do you look at money?
So again, when we were growing up, we were counting every penny, and I still look back and I have some diaries where I have written daily accounts which were, and especially when you traveled, £1 for water and £1. So you budgeted.
Is that a good practice?
So I think a good practice is to be able to save whenever you can. So I don't believe in this point of living on credit and your money getting and your salaries getting over on the 25th of the month, which a lot of millennials sort of feel proud of. Okay, after 25th, I don't have any money left over, which I think is a very, very bad practice. I mean, we had 2,000 rupees, but we still saved 500 out of that. So saving is a very good habit, because I'll tell you, it's not, I'm not giving you some parental gyan, paisa bachao bacha and all that. I'm saying that look at the advantages as you save, and then one day you will be able to save 50 rupees, one day you will be able to save 5,000 and 50,000 also. Today, the freedom having money gives you. Freedom that, how can I run my entrepreneurship today? Because I have, why do I say I'm not looking for investments? Because I have a healthy bank balance, and I know I can be self-funded for the next several years. That has given me the choice and the freedom to do what I want. And how did that money come around? How did that nest egg get built? Over years of saving. So I think money gives you the freedom to do what you want. And if you recognize that, then from the age of 25, and then the compounding effect takes place, no?
That's good advice. Okay, so I now want to get into a segment which I'm going to call This or That. It's basically a rapid fire, but there's no hamper to give. But also, whenever, there's no time ticking. So, we'd like to hear insights on this. This is something that, I want to understand how you think and how a successful entrepreneur thinks. Okay, so the first one is short-term success or long-term goals?
I think both are important.
Okay.
Because if you don't have those little steps to climb on, then long term looks too far away. So you need to motivate yourself and keep your team also optimistic by celebrating the small wins, and there should be small wins. Okay. But if I were to say how do I define a strategy? It would be definitely long term.
Long term. So both are equally important. Equality or equity for women?
What does equity mean in your mind?
For me, equity means that give as per requirement. Like I would say that equality would be, give the same things to both genders or three genders, any genders. But I would say equity means that you first see where there is a deficit or a gap and then provide more where necessary. So in my mind, equity always trumps equality, because I feel that equality may be the ultimate goal, but the path has to be through equity.
Very well said. Very well said. So I would second that. Though my immediate spot answer would be equality, because I think the other way to look at it is that if you have to treat both genders, every gender as equal. Yes, there will be short term or immediate interventions, as you rightly said, for equity, so that you push them up, but ultimately you have to treat them alike, because you want both of them to grow equally. So I keep on saying that one of the big things that I did in my own organization, never treated women differently from men in giving them the tough jobs, which again is a patriarchal bias. No, you give the soft jobs to women, then you bonsai them. How will they grow?
Yeah, that's a very interesting way to look at it. Okay, so we spoke about saving, of course, but when it comes to investments, is it stock or is it crypto for you?
Crypto, I don't even understand crypto. Okay, so obviously it's stock, but I would prefer to get somebody else who's more competent to make decisions for me by working with the experience.
Samalke, you're like a cautious
very much.
Okay, so bahar ka khana or maa ke haath ka khana, what do you prefer?
Maa ke haath ka khana, obviously, from a personal as well as a professional reason.
Yes.
On the one hand, I'm talking about, maa ka khana, to, uske khichdi bhi tum roz kha sakte ho, hai ki nahi? Jo pyar hota hai usme.
What is your favorite maa ka khana?
My favorite is the chana bhaturas that she makes. And a pani puri. It is the best pani puri ever made.
Oh my God, both are my favorites. I'll have to find auntie to feed me some pani puri. Okay, so that ends our segment, and now we go into another segment. This is called time travel. And I have just two moments where I want you to travel to and just talk to us about that moment. The first one is, I know you touched upon it, but I want you to go back to when you were 35, that crucial role elevation, that crucial promotion, that level up that made you, the leader that you had, like a whole team to report to, and then you would set forth, whatever the plan or the strategy for that team was. So talk to me about where you were at that point. What was the feeling? Were you ready? Did you have self-doubts? What was that like?
I would say that nobody who would see me externally or, the job that I was doing would ever say that she's lacking confidence or she doesn't know what she's doing, because I'm quite sure-footed in my decisions and what. But I would say that I suffered a lot of self-doubt. I went through a lot of, and it was not an easy moment. I became CEO of a company which was going through its own set of challenges after being a leader, not a leader anymore. And it was a very difficult phase for both the organization and for me. So internally, I took a lot of stress and pressure on myself. We did manage to sort of bring it up to a particular level, but it took a lot out of me.
And what did that give you? Like the confidence, the boost? What is it like?
So it certainly, when I look back, what it did was that when you go through, it's obvious now, when you go through fire, you become stronger. You don't, you know that you can do anything. After that, I've never had self-doubt. Because I said, ye kar sakti thi, to kuch bhi kar sakti hai.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so it was good to have gone through it early enough. And it certainly set me up for the future. But those 2 years were really tough. Tough. And then and later on you realize that the kind of the stressors, how they impact your body and how they impact your mental health, etc., etc. So, but it was a trial by fire,
Trial
and
by fire.
very, very important for all of us to have gone through such phases in our life.
Okay. So time travel too, I want to take you further back to when you were a child, a girl. What were your biggest dreams? Did you dream of being here, you know, or the journey, the fantastic journey, the books, the family, the savings, and Azol?
Yeah.
What were the biggest dreams, and what did you think would be your biggest challenges when you look back? That little Apurva.
So I was very much a pragmatic kind of a child, a very solemn type of a child. I don't think I was a dreamer, you know. I wasn't. Though I do believe that, because I remember, and you know, my mother telling me the story that someone asked you to, when you grow up, what do you want to become? And I think every other child will say, I want to become a heroine or a space traveler or something. I said, I want to become Mother Teresa. So, so you can imagine that was a little extra saintly answer. but I think that desire came somewhere. I will do something to pay back, to do good for society. You know, that social mission. So I was 7-8 years old. So there was obviously, I don't know how it came, why it came, but that point was very much inside my heart. So as I said, I didn't dream except this point that I made. But I believe my mother dreamt for me. She's a very, very intelligent woman, very, you know, genius level IQ, but never got the opportunities. So when she saw that, you know, her elder daughter's intelligent and hardworking and all, she sort of channeled that through me. And from a fairly young age, you will study in an IIM. That was her. She had made up her mind. And then you will work, and then so I think
was her dream.
Yeah.
You know, I really strongly feel that we owe it to our previous generation, because had they not identified the biases, the conditioning, the fact that, you know, boundaries had to be pushed, we would not have been here.
Absolutely.
So we owe it to our mothers.
Absolutely.
Apurva,
and we realize that, increasingly we realize that, you know. When you're younger, you are a little arrogant and say, "Meri wajah se, mere mehnat se sab kuch hua." Then you grow older and you say that the pushes they gave you, subtle ones, obvious ones, those are the ones that sort of set you up.
Yeah, that's true. Apurva, thank you so much for spending this time with me. And I don't know how close you will be to your Mother Teresa dream, but I think with Azol, you're definitely giving back to the community. You're driving purpose in your entrepreneurship, and all the best for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for calling me. Thank you.
Thank you.